All right, we're back for another tech feature on some Frenchie's Performance Garage products. This stuff, straight out of an R32 GTR. This has been played with and modified already. Someone's put an aftermarket fuel pump, but basically that's your fuel pump and hat and fuel level assembly out of the fuel tank. Now, a lot of you guys want to upgrade your fuel system, make more power, run ethanol fuels, whatever you're doing. So we've got some solutions. I'm going to look at this little nugget here, the FPG-087. It's a basic kit, but it ticks a lot of boxes. Let's have a look inside. We've got a new fuel level sender to replace this old thing there, which does wear out or get oxidized or just stops working altogether after a while. Got to remember, this came out in the late 80s. Cable ties, new high current terminals for all your fuel pump needs. Got some new fuel tubes with AN fittings, new strainer, clamps, mil-spec wiring. It's a nice, complete little kit. And we've got a billet hat replacement. Why? Fair few things. You're limited in size. These are 5/16 or 8mm barbs, so you're limited to using 8mm rubber hoses. A lot of you guys want to use Teflon line or braided hoses, things that can handle all types of fuels and pressures and just more reliability, cleaner setup. So we're going to address that. Your little terminals in there, which tend to melt and burn when you're using high current pumps for various reasons. One, you're doubling or over doubling the factory current draw, so these aren't too happy. Also, you're relying on a connection that's 25 or 30 years old, which is loose and dirty and just has poor connection. So that's another bigger problem. This kit replaces all of this. The only thing that's not in there is the low level fuel light. There's a reason it's not on the kit. One, the kits are aimed at modified cars, a lot of performance cars, so we don't actually encourage people to drive your car all the way down to the fuel light. And the main reason is because when you're using aftermarket pumps, a lot of them are turbine, they're a ceramic turbine pump which need to be fully submerged to work properly. Now, if you're down to the fuel light, in the R32 GTR, it's actually not a great deal of fuel down the bottom. It's such a wide tank that you might have 15 litres left, but it's in reality about 1.5 inches worth of fuel down the bottom of your tank. So your pump is not going to be happy and it'll be cavitating anyway. That's why. Now, we've had some people that just want an OEM replacement. They want their fuel light to work. You can unclip that, cut the wires, and actually mount it to the post there. You can mount it on that flat face if you want. It's no problems. There's a reason we made this the same height, so you can actually mount this with just a cable tie and wire it back in. That's no problem whatsoever. Yeah, this new little billet hat there, we've got -6 fittings. We've got a Delphi 6-pin connector here, which can handle the high current draws of your fuel pump. Simple yet very effective little setup. Got a new fuel level sender. I get these custom made for these cars. It's not something you can just buy down the road. After trying a few options and a few things out there, it all got too hard, so just get them manufactured just for us. Very easy. Got a little profile there in the molding. We've replicated the profile here in the aluminium. It matches in, and then you push it towards the rounded edge, locks it into place. The wiring is very simple. You can just wire it straight into the connector. The kit does come with cable ties, so you can actually secure the wiring to the post so it doesn't get tangled up. And then this will do your fuel level for you. To secure the sender so it can't pop out, you use one of the small cable tie through the back here. So loop it through the bracket, tighten it, and it just won't be able to slide back and pop out. That's it. Now another thing with these setups, we've got submersible hoses. These ones are nicely cooked from the age and from being sitting around for quite a while. They're also 8mm inside to suit your factory fuel pump. Some fuel pumps out there still use that size bar, but a lot of your aftermarket performance pumps have stepped up to a 3/8 or 10mm barb. This is why these come in the kit. They're screwed to the new hat. I'll just put it here just to show you that it replicates the factory setup. It's just a lot more flexible. They can't kink. They handle high pressures. They handle all types of fuels, and they are 10mm inside diameter to suit your high flow pump, like this Walbro 460. So this will go on there. So we ditched the factory setup. In this case, we will reuse the factory box. You can mount your aftermarket fuel pump. This one has been modified. It's a bit dodgy, but we'll just leave it at that. And your hoses can then be connected from the pump. There's clamps that come in the kit. Put it on your pump, secure it, and same with your return hose. Now there's two options with the return hose. You can return back into the factory port. This does two things. It's actually restricted down the end. The reason for that is it's relying on acceleration out of that orifice to drive a bit of a jet to actually suck the fuel from around and push it inside the box. That's what Nissan's tried to do here. They've put a little jet setup. It's all right, however, it can create back pressure in your return line. So if you're running a Walbro 525, for example, and you're just at idle, it'll return 500 litres an hour out of that little hole. And that's actually gonna create back pressure in your line, which is gonna affect your fuel pressure regulator setting. So that can play up. So we've seen tuners that don't really understand why the fuel pressure isn't stable. It doesn't seem to be proportional. That can be one of the problems. So depending on the fuel pump you're using, if you're using a high flow fuel pump, I would suggest that, I'll put the feed on, that's your feed. You can actually mount your return next to it. Just put it in the box, use the cable ties, and just have it secured so the fuel just goes back inside the box without the jet setup. It will still work fine. This can still fill up from the bottom. It just won't have the jet action, but it won't create any back pressure. And then these ones just screw into your hat on the fittings. It's very simple. Really high quality, Australian made Speedflow fittings. We only use Speedflow fittings throughout the entire range. And when there's a fitting that they don't make and that we want to use, we get them to make it for us. So that's really good. The kit comes with a length of mil-spec wiring as well. It just allows you to wire in a new fuel pump really cleanly using the right gauge. This will resist to any type of fuel and acids and you name it. It's just really good stuff. So I hope that answered a lot of your questions, and yeah, it's definitely a popular little item. It does tick a lot of boxes.